Welcome back to our ground school series. So in the previous video, we covered equipment terminology, and now we're going to actually move to what we're going to do while we're in free fall in the air. So this video is going to be all about what should my body position look like, as well as what are the hand signals that my instructor is going to use to communicate to me in case I need to fix some body position issues. So with that, you will have the tools that you need to feel comfortable and confident on your first few jumps. Let's get to it. Okay, so let's get started with what is our neutral body position, also known as the arch position. If you've been watching a bunch of other YouTube videos showing skydiving, you've probably seen that there can be other positions that people can fly in, but this is the basic body position. So the neutral position is going to be the best position for stability, as well as the best position for deploying our parachute. So if you think about, we're wearing our parachutes on our back, so if we are belly to earth, it gives it clean air for our parachute to deploy in. However, it's the best, but it's not the only position for deploying your parachute. So we're going to get to that a little bit later, what is going to be our priority. So if you think about leaves as they're floating down out of the sky, they're just all over the place, right? And that is exactly the opposite of how we want to be while we're in free fall, right? We want to be falling pretty much straight down, like this shuttlecock or birdie if you've ever played badminton. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to use our belly to earth or neutral body position, because like the birdie, the badminton birdie, we want to have our center of gravity be the lowest point when we're in free fall. Again, it is the most stable body position. That's why we teach it to students. This is our basic body position. And it is the best, but not the only position for deployment. So what is the neutral or arch body position? What does it look like? So we're going to get our stability because by placing our center of mass, center of gravity as the lowest point. So that is our pelvis region. We want to actually have that as the lowest. So we're going to push that forward, and that creates this arch in the back that we've got going on right here. Some people also like to call this the banana position because you're kind of curved gently like a banana. So pelvis forward, and we're going to get our chin up too. That's going to go with it. If you think about it, if I am standing here and I start looking up at the ceiling, looking back, looking back, looking back, my body already starts to naturally arch. Whereas if I do the opposite, right, I start looking at the ground, looking further and further back in between my legs, I am going to be de-arched. So that chin up and the pelvis forward, they go together. Next thing we want to think about is our legs, because our legs have more surface area than our upper body. So our legs should be about shoulder width apart. And when we are in free fall, our legs should be at about a 45-degree angle. Now, in free fall, you're not going to be able to see what your legs are doing. And unfortunately, that usually means, especially if we don't have our leg muscles engaged, that the wind is going to take our feet and push them up closer to our butt than they should be. As you'll find out, this hand signal is going to be the signal to push our legs smoothly back out and try to find that 45-degree position. But our legs should be at about a 45-degree position with our toes pointed. And now let's talk about what the upper body should look like. So we call this the 90-90 arm position. Some people like to refer to this as the goalpost position. So if you're a fan of American football, this makes perfect sense to you. Otherwise, think about this angle right here between my torso and upper arm is 90 degrees. And the angle between my upper arm and my lower arm is also approximately 90 degrees. The last thing that we got to think about is that overall, we would like our body to be relaxed, which is the most difficult thing to do on your first few jumps, because you just jumped out of an airplane. It's not going to be an easy thing to feel relaxed. So you actually have to physically force yourself to relax on these first few jumps before it just starts to naturally happen. But we want to be relaxed so that we can allow that wind to just flow smoothly around us. So just to recap, our arched or neutral body position, we're going to have our pelvis forward, chin up. We want our legs about shoulder width apart, and we want our legs to be at about a 45-degree angle with our toes pointed. And then we want our arms at this 90-90 position or goalpost position, and overall to be relaxed. There should be no tension in your upper body. Which reminds me that I have made a previous video that shows you the drills that you can do at home so you can practice this neutral arch position. So definitely check out that video. You're going to start off being vertical, leaning up against a wall or a door so you can practice that way. And then you want to lay on the ground in a horizontal position like you would be in free fall. If you have a helper, that makes things even better for you, but you can do this on your own as well. So check out that video and practice, because this is not a body position that you probably have ever really tried to do before in your life. It's kind of exclusive to skydiving, I think. And now that we've talked about what our neutral body position looks like, let's go through hand signals, because that's going to be how we communicate in free fall. So in case you didn't guess this, free fall is loud. Imagine driving your car going about 120 miles per hour. That's about how fast we're falling in free fall on average, 120, and you're going to roll the window down and stick your head outside of the car. Just imagine how loud that would be. So we can't really talk while we're in free fall, so we're going to be using hand signals, and that's how your instructor is going to communicate to you. The two most common hand signals that you're going to be getting on your first jumps are, first one is going to be having to do with your legs. So remember I said we want our legs at about a 45-degree angle? Well, thing is we can't see our legs on these jumps, so we're not really thinking about them. And when we don't think about them, the wind acts on them. So if we are not engaging our leg muscles and we're just kind of relaxed, then the wind is going to take what should look like extended legs at a 45, and they're going to bring your feet closer to your butt than they should be. So you get this hand signal, it means go ahead and extend your legs nice and smoothly until that hand signal disappears and replaced with something else. The other most common hand signal that you're going to see is this hand signal. This means you need to arch more. So that's really that pelvis forward and chin up. They go together. If you're thinking, I can't possibly arch more, this is as much as I can do, most likely it's because you are actually pushing your chest forward and not your hips. So if you're getting this hand signal in free fall and you don't think there's anything more that you can do, really focus on your pelvis. It's your pelvis that needs to be the lowest point, not your chest. Legs out. Need to arch more. And another thing that we can do to fix our body position has to do with our upper body, and this is going to be this hand signal. This is actually a difficult hand signal for most people to remember. I'm going to give you two ways you can think about it. So remember I said that our arms should be at about a 90-90 configuration, like this. You can think of this as approximately a 90-degree angle. Or you can think of it as your head is somewhere here, your arms are doing something strange, go ahead and fix them and put them back in that 90-90. We also have this hand signal, which you're probably going to see quite a bit as well on your first few jumps, because this means that you need to relax. Again, it's not a natural thing to do. You just jumped out of an airplane, so you've got to force yourself to relax. How are we going to do that? We're going to take a deep breath in, and then we're going to relax into our arch. I personally like to see my students try to show floppy hands in response. So I literally want you to see you take a deep breath and shake your hands in response once I give you that hand signal, because otherwise it's difficult for me to know that you're even trying to relax. And typically when you are tense, we see it in your hands. So you'll end up doing like a claw or a fist or something really stiff hands. So by forcing yourself to kind of like show floppy hands, limp wrists, however you want to think about it, that also helps you to try to relax or think about relaxing. Another hand signal that you may see is this one here. This means that we need you to either do toe taps or your legs are a little bit too wide. You need to bring them a little bit closer together. If your legs are super wide, it's actually very difficult to have a nice arch. So remember, legs should be about shoulder width apart. Then we have some tasks that we're going to be doing on your first few jumps. First, it's going to be this, called the circle of awareness. So if you get this hand signal, it looks like a circle. We need you to do your circle of awareness. However, later, you might get this as a check altitude signal. So circle of awareness or check altitude, but the circle of awareness is essentially, I'm going to be looking forward, seeing which direction I'm facing. Then I'm going to be checking my altitude. Then I'm going to be checking in with my left side instructor, waiting for hand signals. Once I get a thumbs up, I'm going to go and look at my right hand instructor, wait for hand signals until I get a thumbs up, and then my circle is complete. So if you think about it, heading, altitude, this side instructor, wait for the thumbs up, and then you're going to come to this side instructor to wait for the thumbs up, and then you will have completed a circle. And you will be very aware of which way you're facing, what is your altitude, and what do your instructors think about your body position. So that's why this is known as the circle of awareness. We also have this hand signal. So when we're on these first few jumps, we want to practice touching where our deployment handle is located so that when it comes to pull time, we know exactly where to go. So this hand signal is a reminder that you need to do practice touches. This is another signal that is difficult for a lot of people to remember. So I like to tell people, like, think about this. This is your deployment handle. We need you to do your practice touches. Finally, we have this hand signal. So it's just a single finger. It could be in any direction. If you get something like this, that means that we need to pull right now. No questions asked. Doesn't matter what our altitude is at. If you get a single finger, just pull. Could be something is going wrong with your equipment and it's safer to pull right now. It could be something with your instructor's equipment. It could be just where we are in location to where we're hoping to land. Could be a variety of reasons. So no questions asked, single finger, any direction, doesn't matter. It's time to pull. We also have this hand signal. And this is actually like if I was wearing an altimeter, or imagine my watch is my altimeter. So slapping the wrists or back of the hand, either hand doesn't matter. A lot of people use this for check your altitude. If you get tapping on your chin, it means that you should look up. Remember that the arch and chin up go together. Kind of common. A lot of people, when they jump out, they like to look at the ground, although nothing interesting is happening on the ground. So again, this isn't an ideal body position if you're looking down. So if you get tapped on the chin, it's just a reminder to get your chin up and really think about pushing your pelvis forward as well. If you feel shaking as soon as you've left the aircraft, because at the very beginning, your instructors have both hands on you. So if you feel shaking, it is your instructors trying to tell you that the most important thing when we leave the aircraft for stability is to arch, that you need to arch more. So again, think about getting your chin up and pushing your pelvis as far forward as possible if you feel shaking. Later on, once we have a hand free, that's when we'll start giving you this hand signal for arch. But immediately after exiting the airplane, we don't really have our hands free yet, so we will shake. The hand signal that hopefully you'll see several times on your jump is this, right? Thumbs up means you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Let's go ahead and review all of those hand signals. So this one, relax, deep breath in. Again, I like to see my students try to shake their hands in response. This one, extend your legs until you get a different hand signal or that one disappears. This one's tricky because it can mean two different things. So either check your altitude or do that circle of awareness. Check your arm position. Doing something other than the 90-90. This is do toe taps, or it could also just mean, especially on this first jump, it probably means that your legs are too wide. Bring them closer together. Make sure they're about shoulder width apart. Need to arch more, so pelvis needs to be pushed further out, and really think about getting your chin up. Practice touches. Single finger, any direction. This means it's time to pull. If you feel shaking when you first leave the airplane, that means what? You need to arch more. If you feel this, pretty self-explanatory, means that you need to get your chin up even further. This means you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Or on this side, either side, doesn't matter. It means we need to check our altitude. So I think we've covered all of the hand signals there. Again, This is how we're going to be communicating to you in free fall and how to tweak your body position. Let's do a quick review of equipment. What is this and what does it do? So this is an AAD, automatic activation device, and this is the little computer that is going to be keeping track of both your speed as well as your altitude. So based on its settings, what mode is selected, it will be activating your reserve parachute if you're going too fast, too low, according to its settings. So what is this? This is a type of deployment handle. So you can see here, this is that hacky shape, or just looks like a ball. In case you've never played hacky sack, this is just a particular style of deployment handle. What is this? This is your cutaway handle. So if you have a main parachute that you need to get rid of, you can cut it away when you pull this handle. And then you're probably going to be pulling your reserve handle. So this is, again, a different style of deployment handle. This is that metal D-ring that I mentioned in the previous video. These are your 3 rings. So again, you can count them 1, 2, 3. The 3 rings are going to be what attaches your main parachute to your harness. And this is part of the RSL system. So RSL, again, stands for Reserve Static Line. And if we ever need to disconnect it for whatever reason, because this is, again, this is our backup, our second backup, and where if we cut away while this is connected, then it is going to pull our reserve pin. Now, if we need to disconnect it, in this case, it has a red tab, you would just pull that red tab, that'll open the clasp, and then it's disconnected. Where would you find the steering or brake toggles? Those are going to be found on our rear risers. Remember, the risers are what rise up from your 3 rings and where your main parachute lines are connected to the risers. So your risers are the black webbing that goes from your 3 rings to your parachute lines. What's attached to the deployment handle? So in the previous slide, we showed the deployment handle being the hacky style. And if you were to grab the hacky and throw it out, you would find that the pilot chute is what is attached to the deployment handle. When should we check our altitude? So if you think back, when we were talking about the altimeter, it reads in thousands of feet, and you are going through 1,000 feet approximately every 5 seconds. So you should be checking your altitude on your first few jumps at least every 5 seconds. You should check them whenever you complete a maneuver or a task. So we were just talking about with the hand signals that one of your tasks is going to be performing a circle of awareness. Another task would be doing a practice touch. So when you complete those maneuvers, you should check your altitude. And most importantly, you should check your altitude whenever things are going wrong. So that is in free fall or under canopy. It is crucial that we know what our altitude is. When do you get equipment checks? So you should receive 3 equipment checks. One is before you even put the equipment on. Before you get into the aircraft is your second one. And your third check should happen just a few minutes before exiting the aircraft. Again, it is your job to make sure that your instructor gives you those equipment checks. If you think maybe one of them got skipped or you're just not sure, ask your instructor. So there you got it. You have the tools now that you need to have a stable body position as well as be able to understand what your instructor is trying to communicate to you. Next up in this series is going to be some videos about how to fly your parachute and how to be a safe pilot, especially when coming in for landing. So if you haven't already, please like this video and consider subscribing to this channel so that you don't miss anything.